I am Erin, and I'm 34 years old. Actually, we're filming this in Toronto, and this is where I grew up in the GTA. I was born in Burlington and raised, and I live there now with my husband Damien and our new little baby. Well, not so new anymore, but 7-month-old baby Nico. And I went to school here in Waterloo, and I've kind of been all around the GTA, but stick pretty close to here. Positive body image, you know what, it means something different as you get older and like in different stages of your life, but for me now it probably means just like a whole picture, right? Like your positivity towards yourself, towards others, your mental health. Like I think it is all related. And for me, it's just being a good person and the vibes that you want to receive, just putting them back out there and just trying to not compare yourself to everything else that you see on Instagram and Facebook and all these filtered images, and just trying to remember that and take a step back. There's so many things like that just, again, through different stages of your life, you feel it, but going back a long time, I think to like 1997 or 1998, but I had corrective back surgery for scoliosis, and so like I have a big scar that goes like right down the center of my back, like along my spine. And growing up, like it was just something that I was super insecure about and never wanted to wear a tank top or anything that would show off like any part of the scar. And I think it was more just I didn't want people to like ask me about it, or it seems dumb now, but especially like through your formative years of like high school mostly, like it was a very nerve-wracking thing, and I did whatever I could to avoid it. But then like for the year before I had the surgery, I had to wear a back brace, which is like a plastic thing that like went from here to here. Like 20 hours a day. So I would be in school, I had to wear it, and I had braces, and like at night I had to wear headgear. Like I was such a, what you think of if you think of like a nerd. But like that also was something that I was insecure about. So it was like all leading up to that, and then they were like, no, it's not getting better. So top off, so I was 12 years old then when I had the back surgery. So I was like going into grade 8, already awkward, you're like growing into yourself, and then I have this surgery, which because my spine was so curved, like once they straightened it and put the rods in, I grew 2 inches in like 8 hours. So then I come out of it, I already was like an awkward kid, and then you just add 2 more inches, like I would just run into everything. It's something that I don't care about as much, but I probably still self-consciously like don't often wear like low-cut back shirts and things like that, but it does not bother me as much as it used to. All you need is one little thing that sets you apart from your peers, and like especially when you're of that age, like it's hard to feel confident in something, and like sometimes even like, you know, you hear the people that will talk about it lots and point out their own flaws, but like I think that's also a coping mechanism to deal with it. And some people are like, okay, if I laugh at it first, like then it's not as bad if you laugh at it. I was not that way. I just like didn't talk about it, and I just like kind of went about my day, but it's just hard. It's hard to be different when you're young, and like you wish you could go back to tell yourself like it doesn't matter. But it just, at the time, it seems like it's so huge. And I know like even now, like all these things I think about when you become a parent or when you have someone in your life that's young and growing up, like I just want to shield him from all of it, because like I never want him to feel insecure or feel like he's less than someone else. But it's just, I think, something that you got to kind of figure out yourself, and you got to grow up, and hopefully you have good role models and examples of people around you. You know, when I first like met with Damien and I used a midwife. When I first met with them, that was my big fear, because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to have an epidural, because like my spine was fused, and like there's a lot of like, I don't know, like screws and rods and everything, that I was like I can't survive without an epidural. Like I'm like, I need something to dull the pain, which I assume was going to be intense. I think also because my curves were higher up, like so the scar starts higher, but it ends like 2/3 down. So I think that helped. I am the most confident I have ever been being in my 30s. I feel like really helped me just come to terms and like love who I am, but it's still like ask me again in 10 years and it'll probably be later on. Like I think as I get older I get more confident, but I would say now like I'm pretty confident in who I am. When I think back to high school and even my 20s, I just it's a world of difference now, and I just wish I had this confidence then. And I just feel like life would have been so much easier if I wasn't always second guessing and self-conscious of myself. But I still have days like that. Like confidence isn't just in like thinking you're amazing and the most beautiful person. Like I just am comfortable, maybe is a better word. It's such a nice thing to be able to live life and not be as worried about what other people think. Like it's so much less pressure, and it just makes life more enjoyable. And I try to take a step back. Like I think that we are all our own worst critic. Like you pick out your own flaws because you know what to look for, and it's just trying to sometimes like take a step back and be like, you know what, like I do me, maybe I don't know how to do makeup perfectly, or maybe half the time my hair is greasy and up in a bun, but who cares? Like we have one life to live, and like it took me 30 years to feel like this. Like I don't want to waste, not that I wasted the first 30 years, but I want to just live life and not be worried about something that is out of your control. You know, when I first got pregnant, I was so nervous about stretch marks, and my mom would always be like, she bought me like vitamin E oil and stuff like that, and she is like someone I look up to a lot. Like she's awesome, but she would always be like, you can't have stretch marks, like you have to put this on every day. And I was just like, yeah, no, I don't want stretch marks. Like I'm about to be super pregnant. So like every night starting in my second trimester, I would put this vitamin E oil on and like rub it in, and I looked ridiculous because I'd be watching TV with like my pregnant belly hanging out, glistening in oil. But you know what? When it came down to it, like I did get stretch marks from Nico, but I also got a beautiful little baby out of it, and I just wish that I had been less worried about that at the time. And I don't know if I would be, like if I got pregnant again, I'm sure I would be worried about it again, but I just wish that it wasn't like a stressor on the back of my mind. Also, because I had a cesarean, like I was also nervous about that and how that would heal and look, but no, yeah, stretch marks, they are what they are. Like I can't help them. Hopefully they fade over time, but that's something that I will have to work towards to be more confident in, because it's hard not to think about it. To me, health is not just about like what you put in your body, but it's also your mental health as well. Just always check yourself, see how you're doing, and talk to other people, communicate. Like all of these things, surround yourself with people that want to bring you up, not tear you down. To me, healthy is more of just like a overall being for myself, and it's different for everyone, I think. And I'm envious of, I know some other women in my life that are like my height and just like own it. Like they'll wear stilettos, they like will do things to emphasize, whereas I was always someone that would slouch, or I would like, I'm never gonna wear heels and I'll wear flats or sandals. And when I started dating Damien, I remember people would ask me, oh, is he taller? Are you taller? Like all this stuff, and I would be like, well, we haven't stood side by side and measured each other, but it's just like, why does it matter? But it would to me too. I'd be like to Damien, I'm not gonna wear heels, like we're the same height. But he doesn't care at all. It's such a fine line, because someone says something because in their head they don't think it's offensive. So to say, and it's truly not, like, but just call someone, oh, you're fat, or oh, you're tall, or oh, you're short, like they probably in their head don't think it's offensive. But in the truth of it, if you don't know someone, if you're not close with someone, you can't just assume things. Like, let the conversation lead. Like, if I start saying, oh, I'm so tall, you could be like, oh yeah, I noticed you were tall, or oh, like, I'm so thin, and they're like, oh yeah, like, have you been eating well? Like let the other person guide the conversation. If you want to talk about looks, or if you want to point out obvious things, like, just don't ever assume. Just like the fact of how people, if you've been married or in a relationship for long enough, you start getting all the questions of, oh, when are you gonna have a family? When are you gonna have a kid? And like, I will tell you, never ask that question, because you have no idea what is going on in someone's life. Maybe those people have been trying for 5 years. Maybe they are having struggles, infertility struggles. Maybe they decide, I don't want to have kids and I don't need to explain myself to you. Or like, there's just so much that you don't realize that are going on in people's lives, that you seem offensive, like you seem rude in a question that is coming from a good place. And that's the problem. That's when people aren't always saying things like coming from a mean or like angry place, but they just don't think. Like, you don't think of how your words can affect someone else. And some of the things that have like stuck with me the most, or like the meanest things, were not people trying to be mean. Like me saying, going back to my friend and saying, hey, like, that hurt my feelings when you said that, and them going, I had no idea, like, I don't even remember saying that, because it just never clicked with them, but it resonated with me. Most people do not go about their day to offend people. Oh, like, maybe I don't ask people that anymore. Maybe I can frame it differently so that I'm not coming across rude or insensitive. And I guess, like, it's hard to do that without just life experiences and having people that you know that have gone through certain things, and that it can be kind of offensive. I remember when before I met Damien, and like I was dating, like how people would always ask, like, oh, like, are you dating someone? Do you have a boyfriend? And like, it's hard if you're like always trying to find, like, if that's the question that people always ask you, right? And it's just like, they are like, for like, if say you're not going to school yet, oh, what are you doing for work? Like, what do you, like, it's just hard questions.
The second you get pregnant, it's all of a sudden everyone and their dog has an opinion.
Yes, it's very annoying.
Can you?
And the worst is, and I will never say this to you if you guys choose to have kids, but the worst is when if someone goes, oh, how are you doing? And you go, oh, I'm tired. And they're like, oh, just wait until the baby is born. You don't know what tired is. And it's like, actually, no, fuck you. I am tired. I know what it is. I want to go take a nap right now. And like, it's like, I'm sorry I don't have the kid yet. Like, I can't judge how tired I am versus then, but it was just so annoying to me, because I was like, just let me be tired. Like, why are you trying to invalidate the fact that I'm tired right now? You don't always have to give an example or tell your own experiences to help someone out. And a lot of times it actually, in my experience, works better if you just go, yeah, that fucking sucks. Like, just acknowledge and validate people's feelings and move on. Let them drive the conversation.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got pregnant, which was just over a year ago, I guess, or about last August. And I was so excited about the whole process of like being pregnant and going through that. I didn't really fully think about like, oh, like, you're gonna gain weight and all this stuff. And that was very difficult for me to step on the scale each week and be gaining weight, because you're so like, as a woman or as a person in general, like, you're taught, like, you look at the scale, you want it to be lower, right? Whereas I can tell you when you're pregnant, that does not happen. So like every week, like, seeing that you're gaining weight, and I would just get so upset, and Damien would be like, Erin, you're growing a child, like, this is normal. Like, if you weren't gaining weight, like, people would be like, what's going on? Like, don't be so stressed about this. And I was like, that's easy to say, and like, logically I agree with you, it's fine, but like mentally it's a hard thing to work your mind around, because your whole life you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying not to have the scale have a higher number, and especially I think as a woman sometimes, like, and so it was a weird thing for me to have to kind of embrace the fact that, oh, I gained 40 pounds in 9 months, and that's okay. Like, that is normal. Like, you had a baby, like, your body is changing. But it was hard. And also, like, so the pregnancy look, like, you also, everyone, like, you want to look a certain way, you want to be thin everywhere else, and then just have this cute little bump that you can like take pictures of, and it can look cute, and then as soon as you give birth, like a week later, just like all the people on social media that post their flat stomachs after a week, like that was hard for me, like once I had Nico. Especially, I don't know if it made it different because I had a C-section as well, but that time, like leading up, you have the baby, like you think you're just gonna drop all this weight, and you don't right away, or I didn't, sorry, everyone's different, but you feel terrible, your hormones are all over the place, and like on social media what you see, and even with your friends and family, because people just don't talk about it, is you see people posting, oh, this adorable baby, which, okay, Nico was adorable, but it's just, there's so much more going on, and I just don't think that moms are happy right away. Like, it's, your body is so exhausted and so tired from just going through the process of carrying and making a baby and like delivering it. I did not feel myself for probably at least a month. Like it was probably, I had him at the end of April, it was probably into June or July, and that was something that I wasn't really prepared for. Like my friends, my sister, my friends told me, oh, just wait, like you're gonna hate your life for the first 3 months, and I was just like, no, it'll be fine. They call it like the fourth trimester, I guess, is that 3 months after you give birth. And it really, I think it actually takes a full year, they say, for your body to, like, the organs to go back and your uterus to shrink and everything. Your rib cage, like, I don't know everything that happens, but it takes a while, I think, for it to go back. But that was something that was hard for me because I didn't bounce back immediately, and I didn't feel great, and you cry for no reasons, you're tired all the time, like it was a hard time. And then on top of that, like you mentioned breastfeeding, you assume I am a woman, like it's gonna be easy, like I'm just gonna breastfeed, and that's what they say, like you just, like, you have the baby, you put them on your chest, and they crawl instinctively to your breast, and they just know to feed. And I'll tell you, that did not happen for me. Like it was, he wouldn't latch, like they kept saying it'll be fine, like they only need to get a little bit, like their stomach is only the size of, I don't know what it was, a grape or something to start, like they don't need a lot. And for me, like when I made the decision, I'm so happy I used a midwife, because I feel like they give a lot more options and are more open. But they just said, Erin, just supplement with formula. They're like, just because you're giving formula today does not mean that you're going to give formula for the rest of until the baby doesn't need the extra nutrients of breast milk or formula. And they're like, and even if it does, why does that matter? They're like, if formula fed, breastfed, you're not failing as a mother if you can't breastfeed. And that's what a lot of times, like I felt like people put this on you, that you're not succeeding if you can't do that. But really, like everyone has their own journey, and as long as a baby is healthy, like that's the biggest thing to me. I felt like a failure, but it's so, I could talk for so long about it, because it's just, to me, like what society or what maybe it's social media more, like puts out there is just not accurate, and it puts so much pressure on a situation that's already stressful enough. Like it's just, I wish, and you know what, people told me, like people did tell me, like, oh, it'll be hard after you give birth, or oh, breastfeeding wasn't easy for me. And I wish I'd believed them more. Maybe, I don't know what it is, like I think that's so ingrained in my head, like just what it should be, that it's a disappointment when it's not that way. And I just remember like being like Nico crying all the time, and me just being on my phone, like, how do you get a baby to feed? And like just thinking I was such a failure. And if someone had just said, you know what, it doesn't need to be decided this hour, like maybe he's not breastfeeding now, but tomorrow's another day. Like just keep trying, just every day put him on. And I'll tell you also, if you try to force a baby to do something that they don't want to do, like it just traumatizes them even more, and it doesn't work. Like Nico, he's his own person. Like if he doesn't want to do it, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, it's hard. Like, you don't have a roadmap. Like, all of a sudden you have a baby, the hospital lets you leave with them, and like you're figuring it out just as much as everyone else. And like, what worked for your parents or what worked for your friends, like, might not work for you. Like, my biggest thing was I don't want to lose myself in being a mom, because yes, I'm a mom and it's one of the most gratifying things I've done, but I'm not just a mom. I try to be more than just one thing, because that's not all I am. I was 34 when I had Nico. No, that's not true. I was 33 when I had Nico. And I lived a lot of life before then. I've lived most of my life being not a mother. So like, that's still part of who I am. And it's just that right now, is my focus mostly on Nico because he needs it? Yes. But I just, you don't always have to ask me, oh, how's Nico? Like, you can ask how I'm doing. I'm doing other things. I'm watching the Grey's Anatomy. Like, there's just a lot more going on, and I'm still interested in other people's lives and what's going on with them, like, especially because I'm home all the time.